when millions of good Canadians, millions of good Americans, millions of good citizens on this earth live happy lives without such a belief. We live moral lives, productive lives. We have families with family values. We care, we give. Actually, you know that non-Christians, at least in my country, non-Christians as a group give more to charity than Christians do. Did you know that? As a group. Atheists and agnostics as a group are more charitable than born-again Christians are as a group. Of course, there are some wonderful born-again Christians. I would never say Christians are bad. Wonderful people. They're kinder than Jesus, but they're smarter than the God of the Bible. It's to their credit that they've risen above the brutality of that horrible book, and they're good people in spite of their faith, and that they've joined us humanists who really understand that the real solution to morality is working on real natural problems in the natural world, using natural means and using a rational process rather than following a list of dogmatic rules or creed. Millions of people on this planet live really good lives, not tortured with the idea that, oh, I might go to hell, or I might not get to go to heaven. Jesus said, they who are whole don't need the physician, only they who are sick. So if you're sick, you don't go to the doctor, right? Jesus said he came to save us from sin. The Bible says Jesus came, he died for our sins, and if we accept him into our hearts, like I did in my upbringing, and we confess our sins and accept him, he'll come into us and make us a new creature and all that, and we can be saved from sin. From the wages of sin is death. We can be saved from all of that. But what if you're not sick? What if there is no such thing as sin? What if sin is only a theological concept, which, voila, has a theological answer, solving a problem of its own making? What if it's like a doctor who runs around cutting people with a knife in order to sell them bandages, right? Would you have much respect for that? You would say, well, why are you cutting me? The Bible has a pessimistic, insulting view of human nature, that we are all bad. We all can't think on our own. We're all sinners. We're all broken. We all can't find any happiness in life unless we go to the doctor. Jesus said, they who are whole don't need the physician. So, if salvation is the cure, then atheism is the prevention. You don't need the sickness to start with. You don't have to have this belief. You can live your life without this thing for which there's no evidence or no coherent definition or no logical argument or no need. Suppose you were in prison because you've been convicted of a horrible crime. Suppose you were in there for a while, and then you learned that you were going to be released from prison. Freedom. I'm going to be free. I'm going to be set free. How would you feel? I'd feel pretty good, right? But what would make you feel better? To learn that you were set free because of the good graces of the pardon of the governor? Or to learn that the reason you were set free was that you were innocent of the crime in the first place? What would make you feel better? What would give you more dignity? We atheists and agnostics are innocent of the crime in the first place. There's no sin. There's no need to submit. There's no need to feel bad. We're not perfect, but we have this life to live. In fact, many of us feel that since there are no good arguments for God, or no good evidence for God, that we are better off spending our time working on the problems in this world alone, in this real world, alleviating real hunger. Did you say time's up? Or
30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds. Well, that's good. So listen to Peter tonight and ask for evidence, ask for a coherent definition, ask for a falsifiable statement, ask, and let's see if he's more than just a God of the gaps argument for the existence of God. Thank you for your time, and we're looking forward to an enjoyable rest of the debate.
Niagara Secular Humanists for putting this event on. Could you change the microphone to the other one? We'll discuss the view of prayer later on there, so let's say my rebuttal on that. Thank you to the Niagara Secular Humanists for putting on this event. You know, I thought you were called the Niagara Free Thinkers, which I kind of like, because I consider myself a very free thinker, but secular humanists may be a little too much for me to join. And freedom from religion, well, that's not a bad title for an organization either. So thank you for putting this on. I hope you're going to have a nice, both intellectually stimulating and a spiritually stimulating night together. And for those who are not accustomed to debates, but first of all, let me just agree and say, Grant, our moderator, is a person I've known for a number of times. He's done some interviews, always done a fair job with me. He did tell me that he's just switched over to atheism. And I'm a little concerned, but he promised to be fair and good moderator. And actually, I like that you're here, because the more atheists come into this gathering, the better tonight, as far as I'm concerned. So I welcome you, Grant. And, I've only done one debate before in my life. 12 years ago, I did a debate at Brock University, and on the other side were 3 professors of philosophy. And I thought the debate went pretty good, from my point of view. And I was asked to go to other universities and debate, but it really wasn't my calling. So 2 things caused to stir my interest tonight. And one of them is my oldest son, Peter Carl, who at the debate 12 years ago was attending Waterloo University, and actually I was debating one of his professors. I think he was still debating his own beliefs at that time. And since then he has become, of course, a believer in Jesus and works with me at the Celebration Church in the Toronto branch of it, and is my senior associate pastor. He's also studied a lot of these areas of philosophy. And, we still have a little father-son rivalry. I don't want him to beat me in tennis or in street hockey, and I don't want him to beat me in Christian apologetics either. So I thought this might be Dad's chance to just keep up, spend a couple of days, reviewing what I believe and think about these things. But I got a good son, Dan, so if I'm an easy target, you can always tackle him afterwards. But the other thing that intrigued me was you, Dan, because I've debated sort of the professors of philosophy, been there, done that. But so at first I actually said no to this invitation to my assistant, but then I said, "Who is this Dan Barton?" And they told me that you had been working with Captain Kuhlman. You had been involved in Christian ministry, and I've never really quite met an atheist like you. So you're the reason I'm here, Dan. I felt that would be a new angle to it. All right, enough greetings. Please start counting my 15 minutes right now. I don't want that to count. Those were just nice words I had to share with you. Well, here's why I stand. God exists. And let me say, first of all, I'm not going to rebut. There were many things in what Dan Barker shared. Some of them I think were just blatant untruths, if I may say like that. And there's many, I want to pick up many of those threads, but I will do that in my rebuttal. I will do what was my prepared introductory speech right now, and so though I don't touch on the areas that Dan mentioned, they will be coming up later on. Well, I believe God exists, not only that God exists, but He is revealed in and through the person of Jesus Christ. I believe there's much evidence for this. Faith in God makes sense beyond just being rational and logic. The gospel of Jesus does respond to humanity's deepest need. Atheism, however, is a leap of faith which sorely lacks evidence. Atheists often ignore realities and pose questions without seemingly paying any attention to the answers offered. I'm not against atheists. I was raised in a country that is considered the world's #1 atheist country. I believe when I went to high school, the official stat was 46% of Sweden's population considered themselves atheists. About half of those were still members of the state church, but nobody attends, so it didn't matter much. I grew up with atheists. Most of my friends growing up were atheists. In my early years in school, grade 1 to 6, my teachers were nice Lutheran ladies. After that, it was pretty well all atheists. I believe my Christianity teacher was an agnostic, so that was an improvement. But otherwise, they were all atheists. So I played with atheists. I played cops and robbers with atheists. So Dan, I want you to know, I know atheists are nice people. And I have no bias against them because I spent my growing years with them. Now, however, if I compare the debate 12 years ago, maybe I wasn't so much in tune of the current debate. I've noticed that there is an aggressiveness in the current atheistic debate. You read some of the well-known writers like Dawkins and Hitchens, Sam Harris, even our own, who has passed away, Charles Templeton, and Dan Barker's book. There is an aggressive tone, and I would submit to you that this kind of tone of rage and anger could be caused by the fact that it is becoming increasingly difficult